every single day at 11:30, we are here to provide you with the latest and greatest crypto news, tips, and everything you may need to navigate this crypto market. I am here with my lovely co-host Stacy Serrano. Today, we are going to jump right into some tips, tricks for beginners into crypto. If you're new to crypto, or even if you've been in crypto for a while, some of these beginner things are like refreshers. You got to refresh
Yeah,
yourself because you can go deep down this hill and end up forgetting everything that you should have known, right?
right. Right. No, yeah. So, guys, this is you definitely want to pay attention. It might be a refresher for you, even if you're a seasoned crypto degen or if you're just starting out. Definitely pay attention, take notes, because we're going to go into the basics and we're also going to go into things that are currently happening today that you need to know as a beginner in crypto or just as a regular degen that's been around. You never know, you might find information that you didn't even know. At the end of the day, we should always be students of life all the time, no matter what, even if you already think you know everything. I promise you don't.
Exactly. And today, of course, we're talking about beginners, but every day of the week, you can find us talking about different things. On Mondays, we talk about strategy. Tuesdays, we're live trading. Wednesdays, we are doing what we're doing here today, answering all your beginner questions. On Thursdays, come for meme coins. Fridays, catch us for passive income. Saturdays and Sundays, we'll just be here having a good time. So like the channel, subscribe to the channel. And let's just get right into it real quick and look at a little bit of a recap of what's happening in this market right now, because we're watching this Bitcoin chart, right? We've been
Yep.
watching this Bitcoin chart because it's letting us know what's happening. And for the new people, this is perfect because they always like you hear people call this the Bitcoin market, and it's because like Bitcoin is the reserve currency of this market. Like if Bitcoin goes down, this market will not be performing as well if Bitcoin is going up. And this is something that has always like confused people, but if the value of the underlying currency is going down, it's not going to be good.
Right.
So right now we're looking at the daily chart. We had ourselves a bounce on the 76K level, which is actually close to where we thought it was going to go, right? We said 74K or 71K around there. We
Hmm.
got very, very close to it. When I switched to the weekly chart, we're still below the 13 moving average. So hopefully by the end of this week, or by the end of next week for sure, we would have to get above this 93K level in order to solidify ourselves a bull run. But nonetheless, the monthly chart is still looking overall bullish and kind of turning green with a little green doji candle. If you see a candle that's like all wick and there's just like a little bit of trading in there, maybe I can zoom in. That's a doji candle. That means the market is pretty much undecided right now. So, what do you think? What do you think, Stacy? Where are we headed? The market is undecided. Um, CT is undecided.
Yeah.
YouTube is undecided.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think we're going up, or you think we're going down? Where are we?
No, I mean, obviously, like I mentioned yesterday, I definitely do think that we're going to be going down. And quite honestly, I think we're going to be going down this week, a lot more down this week. And I think by next week, we should start seeing a rise. And then we might have a big downfall. And then that's when we're going to shoot up and finally start our bull run. So by April fully, we should be stacking bags. We should be like having money like no tomorrows. So definitely look at the chart, definitely pay attention, what people are saying, what people are doing. But right now, with the way that it's looking, we're definitely going to be going down. And we're going to be going down in a big, steep level to the point where people are going to get scared. People are going to start
Mm,
selling. But guys, I've met so many of you, especially that have Bitcoin, that said, "Oh, I sold when it was fucking 20,000 or something like that," and I'm
yeah,
just,
yeah.
dude, why?
Sold too early. A lot of people sold too
So
early.
way
They
too
didn't, they
early.
didn't understand like the market. Like I don't know. How long were you in the market before you realized about the market cycles and like
Um, It definitely was when I started my Web3 marketing company that I didn't really realize like the full on cycles that we go through in crypto.
Mhm.
And I had to obviously understand that a lot more, just because I was working with a lot of projects and I really need to understand why was it that certain projects weren't doing good at certain times. And sometimes it didn't really have to do anything with just simply my marketing. It had to do with the market itself. You know, people weren't trading, things were going down, people were down bad. And I
Yeah.
think that's where we are currently. You know, everybody needs to go touch some grass,
Right. Yeah. Touch
go
some grass,
learn,
hug a
go learn,
tree.
watch us, learn about crypto, learn the basics. So that way, when the bull run gets here, like you are top notch.
Right, right. With that being said, I want to touch on a couple things you said right there. First and foremost, tap into the channel. But if you have any questions, I don't care how long you've been in crypto, anything like that, maybe we can help you out. Throw them in the comment box. These videos, like you see, the title up there is like, crypto for newbies, crypto for dummies, or whatever. But personally, I don't know. Like crypto is such a wide like spectrum of stuff. Like y'all got to let us know what y'all need help with. That would make these live streams more valuable for the watchers and especially for the people who watch it after the fact. Your question might lead somebody to making their $1 million. So let's get this money together. You know. But then you said uh, sometimes it's not the projects; it's actually just the market itself. Can you tap on that a little bit? I think
Yeah.
that's very important.
So, like I mentioned, the market, whenever the market is down and you are trying to market a project, it's obviously it's still going to do something, especially if you're doing it correctly, because attention is currency right now. If you don't
Right.
have attention, you are not going to win. Attention is everything right now.
Yeah.
So
No, that's very
you
true.
you do have to be extreme with a lot of stuff that you do. Even with us, even with our channel, we kind of have to sometimes, go above and beyond with the things that we are doing because we have a lot of competition, and especially in a place where people are down bad and they don't have money. So how are you going to convince people that they're going to give you their last dollar onto your coin? um, and you have a lot very little amount of people that are ready to put in money because they don't want to lose it all, especially in a down market. So it's really important to pay attention to all these things. And if you are wanting to start a project and you are wanting to, do something in regarding to the crypto space that it's more than just trading,
Mhm.
you're definitely going to have to see what the season, see what time is the best time to do so. Because if not, you're definitely going to be picking pennies from people. And at that point, you're going to end up be called a rug pull, and your project is not going to do the way that you're wanting it to do. And it's going to just hit downfall after downfall after downfall after that. So definitely just pay attention to the market, pay attention to what people are doing, and be strategic on when you're launching, what you're doing things, or even if you already have a project, understand that you are going to have seasons where it's not going to be the best and you are going to have to be picking pennies from investors.
Definitely, definitely. So that's like coming straight from a marketing person who markets these projects to founders, straight from the founders. So as an investor, that is something that we got to take into account as well. Like I can go on CT for like maybe 5 minutes and I'm gonna see somebody pissed off at a project in the bear market. When it's like everyone says we know about these 4 year cycles. Like this is the first thing you got to know about crypto when you're getting in. You got to know about the cycle. If you're not thinking about the cycle, like you're gonna buy the top, and that's not going to be that fun for you because you're going to be spending most of your time in crypto at a loss, and that's not going to make you like it. So definitely looking into the cycles of like the layer ones and things first is like the number one thing that you should be doing as a crypto beginner, and even some crypto like uh, people who've been here forever. I talk to them all the time. They don't think about this as a 4 year cycle for the world. They think of it as just like Bitcoin is in its own little box and it has a 4 year cycle. But no, 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 guys. The Bitcoin cycle matches up with the world global like uh, cycle. That's something to pay attention to. It's like once the United States, we talked about it in yeah, I think day before yesterday's video. Once the United States and other countries start doing their putting money into the market, we see that easily come into Bitcoin, easily comes into assets that are scarce, and that's pretty much like the main point of Bitcoin that makes it such a big deal is that like it's scarce. You can't just print more.
Right.
So
And essentially, and that's why you do have to be a little bit political, especially when you get into crypto, because you have to pay attention to what's going around the world. You have to pay attention to what the president is doing. You have to pay attention what the government is doing. Everything you have to be on top of it to really understand, like when is it a good time to buy, when is it a good time to sell, what is going on in this world, what is Argentina doing, what is China doing, all of these things really.
China, Argentina, Portugal, like China. I'll do China one for example. Since I've gotten in, the market cycles have coincided with like China FUD,
Mhm.
right? It'll be like, oh, China bans Bitcoin, China's bans crypto, and the prices like tank. And then a year and a half later or a year later, it's like China is gonna allow crypto again, or China never banned crypto. Like it's happened like 4 times. I
Right.
guarantee you, sometime in this cycle, or even right now, you're probably seeing stuff about China banning crypto, and it's like crazy how like the cycles go, but the news gets recycled,
Mhm.
which is pretty damn strange to me. But starting off in crypto, where do you think we should start? Like if I'm brand new to crypto, I got, let's say, okay, let me just paraphrase real quick. When you're starting off in crypto, it depends on where your tax bracket's at. Like
Yeah,
nobody's gonna tell you this, but it definitely depends on where your tax bracket is at.
it is.
And if you're at like a middle class tax bracket, then I would say start small, don't overdo it. Take like $100, and start playing with the market. Start learning about what's a layer one and what's a token. Those are going to be the first thing where you start. Now, if you're in a higher tax bracket, hire a mentor. Simple as that. You know what that is. If you're in a higher tax bracket, you know that that's valuable. Hire a mentor. Hire somebody who's been here for over 5 years who can just show you different places to put your money, so you can work. So if you're a higher net worth individual, like send me an email or go reach out to somebody out there who can like help you out. If you're watching this and you're like, yo, I'm trying to be a millionaire, I need to become an accredited investor, start with $100. Do you agree or
Yeah, so obviously, what I always think everybody needs to start off with if you're a beginner in crypto is understanding, for one, what is crypto? What is
mm,
blockchain?
mm-hmm.
What is Bitcoin? What is altcoin? What is meme coins? What are NFTs? These are all things that you need to understand. And we're gonna explain that here in a little bit so that you do understand, and we're not gonna just tell you, hey, just go and go
Right.
somewhere. Like we're actually gonna show you exactly, okay, what is blockchain? What is Bitcoin? What is altcoin? And what are meme coins? Because these are all things that you're going to have to understand in regarding to where you want to go and how you want to start in the space. Because if you start off with altcoins, then that's a different whole strategy that you have to take when you first start off. Or if
Right.
you start off with meme coin, like these are all things that you have to understand in regarding on how you're starting your journey. Everybody's journey is going to be different depending on how you start. A
Right.
lot a lot of people that come to me that are really, really brand new to crypto, they're always talking about me. Oh, so what do you think about Bitcoin? What do you think about Doge? What do you think about XRP? All these things. And I'm like, okay, well, these are all altcoins, and Bitcoin is the big dog of the family. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but do you know that there's things like meme coins? Do you know that there's things like NFTs? Did you know that, you know what I mean? And these are not things that they are aware that it's not just that specific um aura. There's more to crypto than just that. So you have to really understand first, where do you want to start, and then we can go from there. So if Jay, if you want to go ahead and bring up pretty much the chart of Bitcoin, and then we can kind of go from there and talk to everybody about, what is Bitcoin, what is altcoin, meme coins, and then we can move.
Okay.
Okay,
So okay,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
So I was gonna say I was just gonna like talk about like what is Bitcoin, the difference between Bitcoin and other altcoins. So I was actually gonna start off here on CoinGecko, right? Because the number one mistake that people make when they get into crypto is they say, okay, Bitcoin is at 85K. I want to get another token to be like Bitcoin. The other mistake that they make when they get into crypto is they say every coin is trying to be a new currency. So you
Mm,
might hear this like as one of the downfalls of crypto. People say, "Hey, we have the dollar. We don't need another currency," and they just get confused by the word cryptocurrency. And it's like literally like most of the cryptos that we trade are not even cryptocurrencies. They're tokens. They're
right,
crypto tokens. So like you got the first thing is like noticing what's the difference between a cryptocurrency and a token, right? Like Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It is meant to be used as a store of value or for payments and things like that. A stablecoin, Tether or USDC is a cryptocurrency. If it's used for anything else besides just making payments, it is a token. And then there's two type of tokens. There's layer one tokens, and then there's the tokens that are built on top of layer one tokens. But the name token is what applies for those coins. So
so Jay,
um,
let's kind of like dumb that down a little bit. So
okay.
what are, for the people who really don't know, what are
Mhm.
stable coins?
What are what?
What are stable coins?
Okay, so stable coins are coins that are meant to be at a stable price. So, like, Bitcoin goes up and down. Of course, you might hear it at 10,000, 5,000. A stable coin stays at a dollar or it stays at whatever, like, uh, currency it's tied to. So, if there's a stable coin for pesos, then it'll be 1 peso. But most stable coins are $1 US, and it's supposed to be backed like for Tether, there's supposed to be a dollar somewhere locked in a safe, like a real dollar that represents it. So you have many different stable coins on the market that people use in order to avoid, the cycles we just talked about. So that stable coins should become a important part of your strategy if you're really trying to make money because when the cycle starts going down, you hear people say things like stable up or get into stable coins. That means that they're selling their cryptos and just holding stable coins and
Right,
just waiting. So a stable coin is a coin that is stable because cryptos right now have a lot of volatility. The volatility is where we make all of our money. So the volatility is good, but it's something that you do have to navigate for sure.
right. So one big thing that you can use stable coins for is when you want to put your money away and you don't want any volatility. Because if you have your money sitting in like Solana, right? Solana is constantly going up and down. So you're going to lose money or you're either going to gain money. So if you don't want that to happen to the money that you have in there, you switch it to a stable coin in the meantime until you're ready to switch it back to Solana. Um, and there's many ways to do this, and we're going to get into, kind of like what wallets, things that you can get in, to start off as a beginner. We're also going to show you different exchanges, because everybody is interested in different stuff.
Right.
um, so obviously one of the main wallets that a lot of us use is Phantom, because most of us use Solana, and that's very integrated with Solana
Mhm.
to trade meme coins. So if you don't know what Phantom is, if Jay, if you can bring up what does Phantom wallet on your side, so we can show
Yeah.
everybody.
I'll
Uh,
bring it up real quick. Well, first let's backtrack a little bit and explain to people like what is a wallet, right? Because say I'm new to crypto and I want to get some crypto, how do I do it, right? So I'm gonna come to you like a noob. I got $100, in my Chase account, and I want to start off into crypto. Like, what do I need to do?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. So again, it depends on the exchange that you're gonna go for and where you're gonna start. And if you're gonna
mhm.
start all coins, meme coins, all that stuff. Now, most people, they're probably gonna want to start with meme coins if they're talking to me.
Okay, okay.
Well, I'm gonna say, okay, so I'm not gonna start you off anything crazy. I never tell people any trading platforms from the front because I don't want them to get overwhelmed. Because that's
Uh,
exactly what happened to me when I first started. Like somebody, I think, showed me Photon and Bullx and all these like crazy trading platforms, and all I'm seeing is all these charts and all these tabs and all this stuff, and I'm like, this is too confusing, right? I don't
yeah,
want to I don't
yeah,
want to confuse people. So let's start off with the basics. For one, having a Coinbase, right? Because
mhm,
Coinbase is usually how you can turn your crypto into cash. Cash meaning that you can actually send it into your bank account, meaning you can actually go and use this money for your groceries.
yeah,
That's what that means, right? So starting off with a place like Coinbase. Then from Coinbase, depending again what you're wanting to trade and what you're wanting to do, it will determine if you're gonna go to a place like Phantom or Uniswap or Sushi Swap or Spider Swap or uh, there's so many.
There's so many. There's so many. So, like, to narrow it down, what she just said, you need two things. You need an onboarding account. This is where, like Coinbase, like she said, this is where you're gonna connect your bank account to this. This is gonna be the only place in crypto that
Right,
you're gonna give your information out to. Let me repeat that again, because it's very important. This is gonna be the only place where you do KYC, know your customer. Unless you trust the platform, there's a couple of them that are like real legit platforms. There's Coinbase, there's Uphold, there's Gemini, and I think Crypto.com. Those are the four in the United States that are labeled as safe. Remember, first thing first about crypto is like you're jumping into your own world of finance, so you better be on top of your stuff. Because look, when you get hacked, it's your fault. Someone steals your thing, it's your fault. You buy a coin that goes to zero, it's your fault. No one's gonna save you. There's no insurance. If you
right,
don't have insurance, maybe in next week's video and when we get down the line, I'll show you guys how to buy crypto insurance because you can buy it, but there's no insurance for you right now. So you got to be on top of your stuff. But when you start off, two things you need: an onboarding account, which is, like I said, Coinbase, Crypto.com, Uphold, or Gemini. I'm not even sure if Gemini is still around. I don't use it. And then you need a wallet. A wallet is going to be where you store your crypto. Most people get confused by this because you can store your cryptos on Coinbase, but it
yeah,
is highly unrecommended.
right,
Highly unrecommended. And the reason being is because Coinbase is not even insured. So if Coinbase gets hacked, or if Coinbase gets robbed, or if Coinbase just decides that they don't like you, they hate your face, they get to keep your crypto. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. So you're gonna get Coinbase, you're gonna you know buy your cryptos with your debit card or whatever you set up in there to pay for it, and then you're going to transfer that to a wallet.
right.
So
And just to be aware, guys, there's two different types of Coinbase. There's a Coinbase exchange and there's a Coinbase wallet.
yes,
Two different things, by the way. Wallet is where you keep the money in there, and then Coinbase Exchange is where you're gonna actually exchange your cryptocurrency into actual cash. So and also where you can actually receive stuff and then go ahead and send it to your Coinbase wallet. But these are two different things. So when you go in the Apple store, you're gonna see Coinbase Exchange and you're gonna see Coinbase Wallet. You can have both. You can absolutely have both. I
yeah,
definitely have both for a lot of different stuff. But Coinbase Exchange, this is where you're going to turn your actual cryptocurrency into cash and you can send it to your bank account and you can use this for groceries, for shopping, for whatever it is that you want to do. So, really understand that this is like number one, the place that you need to get to.
yeah.
And
This
then,
is going to be how you get your money into crypto. Once you have a crypto, like once you have ETH or Solana or Bitcoin, once you get it, then you can take that and get into whatever other like 20 million cryptos out there are. You just need to get your cash onto the blockchain in the first place. And you're going to do it through Coinbase. From there, you're going to pick a wallet based on whatever crypto you want to buy.
right,
Remember, you're going to do a bunch of research before you even start any of this stuff.
right,
So if you're gonna say, let's just say you're coming in the market, you say I want to trade meme coins and I want to trade Solana, you're gonna get Coinbase, buy some Solana, and then you're gonna get the Solana wallet. But let me backtrack a little bit on what you were saying about Coinbase and Coinbase Wallet and explain the difference, because this is going to be the most confusing part for somebody who's brand new, and I just have to explain it. If you've been in the market, you know this. Sorry, but we got to repeat these things. The new people need to know it. Um, Depending on what wallet you use, there's centralized wallet. There's centralized and decentralized platforms,
Mm.
but you're going to choose whatever wallet for whatever crypto you want to buy. So if you have XRP, you're going to have to use a different wallet. For if you have Solana, you have to use a different wallet, because these are on two different layer one blockchains. Layer one is the base layer. So Solana has a different layer, so you can't trade uh, XRP on Solana without doing a special like bridge to Solana first. So that is just something that definitely to keep in mind. So like figure out like before you even download a wallet, like get Coinbase, figure out what coin you want to get into. That's like first steps first, so that you can know where to travel along next. It's very hard to give you like a beginner uh, set of how to get into crypto, because it is different depending on what ecosystem you're wanting to jump into.
Right. So,
So,
just to give an example, okay, if you wanted
Mhm.
to get in the Solana exchange, right? Because there's different exchanges that you can choose from, and this will also again determine what kind of coin. Guys, when I tell you there's so much into crypto, you really have to do your research and really understand everything, and you'll slowly learn. Don't I'm not trying to overwhelm everybody who's new here. You'll slowly learn. We're trying to do as much as we can to give you the basics, but sometimes even the basics are a little bit complicated. Okay. So I don't want to overwhelm you. I don't want to overstress you, but really understand these are the two things you need. If you want to go into Solana exchange, which is right now what most people are doing, most people are using Solana to trade meme coins. Okay. If you want to get into Solana exchange, you would get a wallet like Phantom. If you wanted to go with ETH, which is where things like, yeah, you can use with like NFTs. If you don't know what NFTs are, we can definitely come back, next Wednesday and talk about NFTs and a little bit more how to get into that. But ETH is great with Trusted Wallet, MetaMask. These are two great wallets to have for that. Um, if you wanted to get into Binance is usually it's more for out of the country, but there is ways around to use it in the US. But you're gonna have to do a lot of different steps to get
Yeah,
into that. But there's the thing like Pancake Swap, you can use that, or Trusted Wallet too. But you really understand, like, one of the biggest mistakes that I have made when I first started was I didn't realize that there's certain exchanges that you cannot transfer to certain wallets
hmm
because it doesn't take that exchange. So your money will be gone forever if you
hmm
if you make that transfer. And mind you, you would think it would be like a bank where it bounces back. No, in crypto, if you make a mistake, it just gets sent into a dark hole and it's gone forever.
Yeah, potentially
So
gone forever for sure. And that's why it's like I can't stress it enough. Figure out what you want to do before you do it. Start off
right,
small. I don't care if it's $10, $5, $100. I don't care if you I got money, $100 is nothing. Start off with $100. Okay.
right. And if you're ever exchanging money from wallet to another, always test it by sending like $1 or a couple of cents or something before you actually send the amount that you want to send, because that way you determine where, like, you're like, wait, did I get this amount in this wallet? And if I didn't, check if that wallet even takes what you're trying to send. So definitely, like, always test things out. I always do this after I made that. There's one time I made a big mistake when I first started crypto. I think I sent like $2,400
I've done that.
to
I
the
think a
dark
lot of people have
hole.
done that. You know, it's something that even people who've been here for a while do. Send it to the wrong
Right,
thing. You're like, oh,
right, exactly. And another thing is when you transfer things to one wallet to another, you're gonna have this thing called a contract address, and that contract address has to be so perfect and it has to be to the point, or you're gonna again be sending it to the wrong
Hmm.
place and you're not gonna see your money ever again.
Right. So
So
I'll try to
important to
bring
me.
up something to kind of show people what we're actually talking about with there. Let's answer some comments. It says Super says self custody is like cash under the mattress. Seems to be the minority strategy, but definitely the safest. Now, self custody is something that is I'll say it like this. It's not for everybody. This is when I got into crypto in the beginning, I was just like everyone else in crypto. Like, you should self custody your own cryptos. Now, for those who don't know what that means you hold your own coins in a wallet that isn't connected to any other centralized figure or any other centralized business. So, like I said before, you can buy cryptos on Coinbase, hold cryptos on Coinbase, but you are still under the Coinbase terms of service, which says that your money's there, but technically Coinbase can borrow it at any point in time, pretty much. Because if Coinbase just runs out of money and they decide that they need your crypto to pay off their creditors, it's gone. So that's what their terms of service says. So you want to self custody your own crypto, hold it in your own wallet. Only you have access to that wallet. If you lose that private key, it's done. He said it's the safest strategy. Um, it is, but now we're having also other safe strategies, right? If you have like I said before, if you have an account, a centralized account in crypto that has insurance in it, then maybe that might be something to look into if you have more money or if you don't trust yourself with holding your own wallets. We've heard a number of horror stories about people who lost their private keys, which, for those who don't know, when you make a wallet, the wallet says, here's your private key. That's your password to your money. No one else has that. And just for like context, when you make a bank account, your bank account also has a private key, but the bank custodies that private key for you, so that no, someone else gets your private key and goes into that bank database, they can take all your money. So there's a private key at the bank, but the bank holds it for you. The difference here is you're going to be holding your own private key. If you lose it, then you're done. There's one guy like rumbling through the garbage right now because he lost his Bitcoin private key, and there's like over $100 million in there, and he's hired people to go and like dig through trash to try to find this old laptop that has all this Bitcoin on it. And so self custody can be it is the safest, but you have to be like the most responsible. And then he said the banks want to be your custody provider in the future once regulation, and this is also true. I think a lot of banks are going to go ahead and say, hey, a lot of people don't want to hold their own private keys. A lot of people don't want to be responsible when they mess up, right? If I click something and I get scammed, hopefully the bank can just send me my money back and then, pay off the scammers or whatever, right? But I will say, so this is actually going to be the safer option in the future once there's insured custody providers that will kind of be the most safest. Because if, say, you have 100K in Bitcoin in there and then it goes away, you're going to be safe. But you're going to lose all of the incentives of self custody. So it's a give and take situation on there. So when you self custody it, you have more responsibility. But if you're new to crypto, I recommend self custody over everything else because of the benefits and the incentives that you're going to get out of it. So, and this means, like, you buy some Jupiter, right? You go on Solana. So let's just run through this, right? I want to trade on Solana. Okay. My boy told me about this coin called Jupiter. He says it's gonna do 1,000x, and I want to buy some. So I go on Coinbase, I buy some Solana, then I download Phantom Wallet. I send the Solana from myself to my Phantom Wallet, and once I get to Phantom Wallet, then I'll go ahead and swap it for some Jupiter token, and self custody my Jupiter token. And then once I have my self custody of my Jupiter token, now I could be eligible for airdrops. I might get other tokens. I could be I'm kind of grandfathered into this community by just holding these tokens. If
Right.
it's a good community, they'll benefit you for holding those tokens. So just to recap that real quick, you need a wallet, you need an exchange, you need a wallet, and then self custody versus centralized custody is that's all up to your decision. But like I said, start off with $100, get the wallet, self custody it yourself, just see how you like it. Sometimes it's not for everybody, but I recommend it for everybody.
Right. And if you're really on a budget, you could start with $50. Because again, I've seen people literally get some big plays with like
Mm-hmm.
$10
Yeah,
and $10 into $2,000. So like it is possible, and you just have to be very strategic and know how to play the game. But
yeah.
I
Like
think,
the amount of money you start off with is kind of less important
yeah,
as what you're doing. You're trying to learn. You're trying to figure out how to do these custody things. Like you don't want to do your first transfer from Coinbase to Phantom and then the money disappears. You
right,
know, which I've seen people do that. You might go, oh, okay, let me. I'm ready. I'm ready. You throw 5,000 in here to start off your your crypto investment strategy, and then you send it to the wrong thing, and now you just lost $5,000 and you hate crypto forever, and you miss out on all of the opportunities that you might have had if you just did it right in the first place.
right.
Right.
And
So.
understand too, it when you're trading coins, you have to always have some Solana behind. Okay. So
Okay.
that's another thing that a lot of people forget about. If you want to go buy a coin, and let's say you have $100 in at $100 worth of Solana, you have to at least, if you want to put in 80% of that into this coin, you have to put 80% and leave the rest, the 20% in there, because you're going to need this for fees. Because when you go and swap the coin, you're going to need that Solana in order to even swap the coin. Because one mistake you don't want to make is if you make all this profit and you don't have any Solana.
That's happened before. I had to text my boy like, "Hey, I need this sale. Send me $5,
Yeah.
please." Let
Very
me show
yeah.
people. Yeah, let's show them what we're talking about, right? So that I'm a visual learner, so I want to be able to show people visually. So what I'm gonna do is let's just act like we're new, okay? I'm new. I got a Phantom wallet. Let me share this. Hold on. Let me set it up so you guys can actually see my Phantom wallet real quick. And I'm gonna just kind of see if I can show you guys exactly what this will look like.
Yeah, guys, so definitely pay attention to this, because this will stop you from making a lot of mistakes.
For sure.
uh,
So you downloaded the Phantom wallet, you installed it. Now I got my Phantom wallet up here, okay? And then I'm gonna go to, I don't know, a random. Let's go to Dex Tools. Now this is a site for seeing the charts of Solana meme coins, right? So let's just say I have this meme coin right here called Hobbs. You can see my screen, correct?
yep.
Okay. So when I open up my Phantom, I'm gonna have, okay, this one got $1, and let me go to an empty one. This is what it's gonna look like, right? Now I can't do anything with this wallet. If I transfer tokens over here, like if I have my boy send me, $5 of this token, Hobbs, I won't be able to do anything with it because I need Solana in order to use Solana. This is how layer one blockchains work for the most part. You have to have a token to pay for the gas in order to use the blockchain. It is going to be probably the only place where you're not the only place, but it's going to be one of the places where you're paying fees at in order to do crypto. So what Stacy's referring to is right now I can't do anything with this wallet. If I try to buy this token, what I would do is I say, oh, first of all, don't buy this token. I wouldn't buy this token. But you get the contract address of the token. Remember, cryptos run on smart contracts. So the smart contract address is right here. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come back up to my Phantom wallet, and I'm going to hit swap because I want to swap some Solana, which is what I bought on Coinbase for this token. And when I do it, I will. It's going to bring me here. See Solana, swap it for a stablecoin. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to post that contract address, Hobbs Cat, and you see like nothing happens. Can't do anything because I don't have any Solana. So what I wanted to show you was, if you're new to this, which I know some people are, if you were to swap all of this, right, and I put all of this in here, it's only going to let me buy like 35 cents, even though you can see right here, I have $1.30 in this wallet, right? But it's not going to let me spend all that because I need fees to pay for the blockchain. So if you were to run out of Solana, you're not going to be able to make any swaps on the blockchain. This goes for Ethereum. This goes for any self-custody provider. You're going to have to pay some type of fees for that blockchain. Different blockchains have different fees. This is
Yeah.
where things start to get more complicated, right? It's where things start to get really complicated because then you can't pay for fees on any like other chains with, like, you can't pay for fees on Ethereum with Solana, you know, but you could actually have Solana on Ethereum. That's a different story for a different day. Don't worry about that, and just don't do that overall. Just don't do that.
I think we're confusing people now.
Yeah, I'm like, just don't, just don't. And also remember, like, this is for you guys. Ask questions. You know, put the
Yes.
questions in there in the box, right?
Cause when I tell you it's just really hard to fully give you the breakdown without like walking you step by step by step by step. And there's just so much, there's so many steps. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be fully transparent here. There is a lot of steps to crypto. There really is. And again, depending on where and how you're which coins you're trading and what you're doing. So at least right now you know the basics, which is you have your exchange and you have your wallet. You pick the exchange that you want to use, which would be Solana, Binance, Ethereum, whatever. There's so many. There's
Right.
so many out there.
Yeah, that's first. Like,
So,
pick where you want to be at first, because when I first started, you didn't have to do that. There was only 1,000 coins. There was only a couple of them that had other tokens built on top of them, so it was very easy to pick. Now you got just 100 blockchains that have other tokens built on top of them, and
right,
you have to make sure you have that right token to pay for the gas and so forth and so on.
right.
Peasy at Young Peasy Pepe on base for the win. So are you shilling me a token? Is that what it is? Young Peasy on Pepe on base layer 2. That is Coinbase's blockchain.
Yeah, so you see that's another another one that you can think about if you want to be joining. You know, we talk about Sui a lot too. There's just so many different places that you can go and trade meme coins or trade anything. And when we say trade right now as a newbie, if you're using Phantom and you're just swapping, it's still considered trading, but it's not really trading a coin. Okay. When you
Mm.
want to take it a step a notch, that's when you get things like Bullx and Photon and GMGM. You know, these are all platforms where you're going to be able to see the chart. You're going to be able to read the chart. You're going to see the liquidity. You're going to see the volume. You're going to see the market cap. You're going to see all the 9 yards because unfortunately, when you're just swapping on Phantom, you're not going to be able to see all that information unless you go on, you know, on these platforms or you go on Dex Screener. You know, Dex Screener is where you can see the coins again as well. You can actually even trade on Dex Screener as well. I personally don't trade on Duck Screener, but these
Mm-hmm.
are definitely places that you can go and do that. And this is where you start becoming a crypto trader. So, really understand that right now, as a newbie, you're just doing the simple swap. You're just swapping coins. You're just swapping Solana for this little cat meme coin, or you're just
Yeah.
swapping Solana for whatever it is. Um, really understand that once you step it off a notch and you get into a platform where it's actually, you know, showing you the chart and you're seeing all these things and understanding how to read, you know, the volume, the liquidity, the
Yeah.
market cap, the chart. And we'll definitely have maybe next week where we can actually go into technical analysis on how to read a chart, you know, what liquidity is, what the market
Yeah.
cap means. Right now, all I need you to understand is exchange, and wallet. That's all you need to know right now, and what exchange you want to go into and how you want to trade and what you want to trade. What
Exchange,
is that?
wallet, like the very basics. You
Yeah,
get your exchange centralized for your onboarding, for your currency onboarding.
right,
Don't matter where you are in the world, that's where you're going to onboard at. Then you're going to go into a wallet. So I think this is perfect because we had somebody shill us a coin on Base, which is a different blockchain. So I get the opportunity of showing you guys how to do that right now, and I think that would be
right.
pretty dope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share. I'm sharing my screen. We're right here on Dex Tools. Now, Dex Tools is kind of the main site that people look for charting cryptos and getting information on cryptos. So a couple things you have over here, up here in the corner, you can see right here, you can pick your blockchain. So according to him, he said Peasy on Base. So I'm Ethereum. Look at all these blockchains you have. So take your pick, right?
Right.
But you're gonna click on Base, and then he said there's a token called Peasy. Type Peasy in here.
He's
Peasy.
easy. He's
So,
shilling us a coin right now. And by the way, for all the newbies, shilling pretty much means just sharing a coin. Wants a coin that he's promoting or a coin that he's in on the community of. That's what shilling means. So if you ever hear anybody in the crypto community say shilling, he's shilling us a coin. That's exactly what that means.
all right, is this the right Peasy? Young Peasy, aka Pepe Peasy. So right now, it's very easy to see information about this token. I can see that the market cap is 172 million. I got the liquidity over here. Now, for those who don't know, this is what you want to pay attention to: the liquidity. It's very important. The market cap is important because this is going to tell you how many X's you possibly have to gain. The liquidity is going to tell you how much money is in that pot for everybody in order to pull their money out. Let me
Right.
explain that. Let me explain that a little bit different. If I buy this token right now and it goes to say $4 million, I made about a 2x. So if I put $50 in there and it goes up, then I made 2x. All of the rest of the holders in this token, I can come down here, I can click the holders. I can see that there's 657,000 holders in this token. Wow. That's crazy. 657,000? Bro, Peasy guy, what is this? That is crazy. That is high. That's crazy. I haven't seen nothing like that since like Whiff or something.
Yeah, well, but it
But
sounds like Bayes and Suey. It sounds like it's the new thing. That's what it
yeah, they
sounds
got to have quarter million users is
right.
pretty good on this meme coin right here.
Right, right.
Um, but with that being said, if this thing goes to 4 million, that's how many people have to eat from this pot of liquidity.
Hmm.
So not
Which,
everybody. This is why these charts go down so fast. Just
and
want
that's why it's very important too to really understand liquidity. Because if you go into a coin, and this is where we'll go into this next week, next or the week after that. You know,
Yeah, these are like ideas that you learn over time. Like literally,
right?
I'm gonna have to repeat them to you. We're gonna repeat them, and
Yeah,
then someday they're gonna stick. Like one day it's gonna be
right.
like, okay.
Because liquidity is very important for you to understand. Like, if you win X amount of money and you get your profit back in some whatever, it let's say you even get to close to that number of 147,000, you're
Yeah,
not going to be able to take the full amount, or you're going to nuke the chart. You're
yeah.
literally going to make it bad for
You're
everybody.
gonna make it bad for everyone. Cause look, in this market, everyone's playing against everybody.
Right.
Like people like to be all happy and we're community, but at the same time, you're playing against that guy,
Yeah.
right? So you got 657,000 people who okay, let's just look down here. Let's scroll down a little bit. These are the top 10 holders right here. So like look at this guy got 23k worth in this token. 23k, 23k, 28k. So if 6 of these guys want to sell, this token is going to zero
Yep.
instantly. And
Yep.
they won't be able to get 29k or 20k out. They might take a loss maybe for 5 grand or something like that.
Right.
That's why
That's
you see these charts moving so fast. This is also why people want the coins to get on centralized exchanges.
Right.
You want your coin to get on Coinbase because Coinbase is going to provide liquidity for that token.
Yep.
You want your coin to get on anything else because the more liquidity, the more better it is for the holders, the less volatile it's going to be.
Right.
You know,
Exactly. And that's why, if you really truly believe in a coin, this is where communities come back in. If you really truly believe in a coin, and let's say you have $40,000 in gains, you're gonna be that person where you're gonna be like, you know what, I'm only gonna take 10 grand out of this 40, because if I take my 40, it's gonna do a big hit to the chart, and that's gonna
you're
affect
not
the
even going to be able to take 40. That's going to be the problem.
right. And at that point, you're affecting the project. And if you want to continue making money on this project, you're gonna need to, invest back in. You're gonna need to understand that you can't take your and this is where we work as a community when it comes
Hmm.
to a project. And that's what we don't have currently. We have a lot of greediness lately in the space. So really understand that there is guys out there that will try to nuke the chart and will send the coin to zero. So really pay attention to that and learn how to read a chart, learn about liquidity, learn about the market cap, because these are all important, because it's not a fun and sunshine's rainbow game.
Right.
People are greedy, people are selfish, and they will take all your money and run with it.
Yeah, that's just what this how this market is. The it's
Right.
we're all trading against each other, right?
Right.
Um, so let me get back to it real quick. So I want to buy some PZ, right? So first thing I need a wallet that I can hold PZ in. So I downloaded MetaMask. I put it in my extension up here. I'm gonna sign in to my MetaMask, and I'm gonna make sure my password ain't showing.
Well, actually doesn't even show your wallets.
It
So
doesn't show the wallet.
no, but you're good.
Okay,
So
I'm just gonna sign into MetaMask and then
it
let me
doesn't
see.
even show you signing on. So you're fine.
Let me do it. Okay, cool. So you
Yeah.
can't you can't see my
I
wallet.
can't even see anything. Yeah.
Okay, let me do something real quick where I can show you my wallet.
So right now, what he's doing, he's gonna show you guys the MetaMask wallet for anybody who needs to be using MetaMask, and he's using it on Base.
Yes.
So this is one way for you to trade meme coins, which we just showed you. Somebody shield us his coin called PZ over here, which was currently sitting at what was the market cap?
1.7 million.
1.7 million, and there was 650,000 people holding.
Yeah, a lot of people holding that up. Yeah,
650,000
that's
people
crazy, right? Like
holding.
what? I haven't seen that. Okay, so I guess it's a safety feature that I can't show you
Yeah,
my
which is fine.
which
We
is
don't
fine.
need to see his wallet, but I'm sure one day we can have a setup where we can show you a brand new wallet and show you how to set everything up. But right now, like what he's basically wanting to show you was, the fact that you can have an extension on your computer, and most of these extensions only work on a platform like Chrome. So if you don't
Mhm.
have Chrome on your computer, you definitely want to download Chrome, because Phantom, MetaMask, all these places, that's how it usually works. You can do that on like Safari
Yeah.
or Microsoft, I believe, is the
You
other.
can you can do it on Microsoft. I'm not
Okay,
sure if you could do it on Safari.
no,
Like I said, Apple loves limitations. Sorry.
yeah,
And
I hate
I'm
them.
gonna throw that in there every time I get a
I
chance.
hate them. Why do I even do a show with this
We
guy?
gotta take digs at Apple anytime. Just to remind you that, like, if you choose Apple, you're choosing mediocrity. But anyways, um,
That's
so
crazy.
so
Everybody
hey,
put hate in the chat right now. We hating on Jay right now.
chat. Hey
That's
man, if you like pretty things with no substance, that's Apple for you. Now,
wow.
if
Okay.
you have any other normal browser, you could do it, right? So
Wow.
go on your Apple and
Okay.
download Google's browser because go on Apple and download Safari. No, I'm
Uh-huh.
messing with you guys, but for real, go on Apple, download Brave browser actually, because we talked about it, and you'll get some free crypto. This is all about beginners in crypto, and the first thing you should be doing in crypto is using crypto, because that's the way where you're gonna get all these different opportunities. We spent the first half of this thing trying to tell you about how we would start in crypto, and as you can see, we couldn't even tell you that without first figuring out what we were gonna do.
Right.
Because there's so many different things you could do. We had to be like, okay, first thing I want to do is buy a meme coin, then we can tell you how to do it, right?
Right.
Um, so
Oh my
that's
God.
first.
They said
But
Android all the way. Don't take a bite of the apple.
we'll take a bite out of that app.
Whatever,
Like
super
I
male.
said. So that's
Whatever.
I love it. I love it. Let's go. That's why Super's my boy. um, where was I? Where was I? I lost my train of thought over here.
No, 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 it's okay. You're basically talking about, the different browsers that you can use and regarding into crypto and what works best with crypto.
Yeah, okay, that's right. So then, if MetaMask is a pretty good browser because you can easily switch between multiple blockchains. So, like, if you're a beginner, MetaMask is a good place to start. So, I was going to try to show you that I was going to be trading that PZ token. I couldn't show you my wallet. So, switch to Base and throw some Ethereum in there because you need Ethereum to buy on Base. So, it's like you have to know what you want to do to know, like, if I wanted to buy that first token Hobbs I showed you, I would have had to go to Coinbase, buy some Solana, and transfer it to my Phantom wallet. If I wanted to buy PZ, I had to buy some ETH and then transfer it to my MetaMask wallet, which is a little bit more complicated because if you're going on Base, when you're transferring it from Coinbase or whatever exchange, it's going to ask you what blockchain do you want to use, and I
Right.
have to know that. Like, that's why I shout out to Morgsy because he said PZ is on Base, so I know that I'm going to need to transfer this on Base, transfer this ETH on Base to my wallet.
Yeah, and then also, just to be safer as a newbie, I know PZ right here. He posted, his name is not even PZ, but I'm just going by PZ.
Yeah, yeah. Calling him PZ now. That's your
he
name, bro.
put he put the ticker of PZ, but to really make sure that this is the coin that this guy is talking about, you want to ask the person, whoever's sending it to you, hey, can you send me the contract address to verify that this is the coin that you are wanting me to look at? Because sometimes just the ticker alone is not going to be enough for you to go ahead and trade this coin. And I think my host here all left me, so we're here by myself. And I think, oh, there he is.
Here we are.
I was like, you left the whole stream and everything.
Something
That's
happened.
crazy.
Something happened.
But
Um,
yeah, it's definitely important that, when somebody sends you a ticker, for them to send you also the contract address for you to verify if that's exactly the coin they're talking about, because there could be a million and one PZs, as I spoke about in the past, which I think that we need to change that to where if one person's uses one name, we can't take that name. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was gonna show you that before I literally got caught off because um after I went to the PZ token, let me just show you real quick. When I come here and I'm searching up PZ, right? I'm gonna say, oh, Morgsy sent me PZ. I'm gonna type it in PZ, and I have PZ, aka Pepe. I got PZ right here with this logo, PZ with that logo, PZ here, PZ there, all these different PZs, right? This is what sucks about meme coins because anybody can make a token. If I make a token, anybody can copy me and try to get you guys to like scam me, right? So I should have asked him like, hey, what's the CA? Because I don't even know if this PZ, the first PZ that we were looking at, is the right one.
right,
I just went for the one that had the most liquidity, but it could be this PZ. Maybe
right.
he's talking about this one.
Right, exactly. And what you could always do is, just ask, for the first four or first last or whatever, that also could help you as well to really understand whether the contract address is right. If they for some reason can't send you the full contract address, which is highly unlikely,
Yeah,
always ask for the contract address. I even when I'm in different Telegram groups or Discord groups and they just send the ticker, I'm like, dude, send me the contract address. I need to make sure that this is the coin that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care what you're talking about. What's the CA, man?
Right.
So I
Exactly.
can check it. So I can check it for myself.
Right.
Carmine says Base is an EVM layer 2 on ETH, so do not send ETH of mainnet. Yes, Base is a layer 2. So what does that even mean, right? Ethereum is a layer 1. Like I said in the beginning, tokens are built on top of Ethereum. Ethereum is also has limitations with speed, decentralization. I mean, like it has issues with speed, right? There's something called the trilemma, which I won't even get into that today. But there's three things that a blockchain needs to have, and um, Ethereum is missing one of them because it's not that fast. So what happens is you have other blockchains that will build on top of it, and they will um, lower some of the attributes of the other two things that you need in order to have more speed. So Base is a layer 1 that has more speed but less security. Ethereum has less speed but more security,
Right.
if that makes sense. So if you're going to go on Base, when you send your Ethereum, it uses the same token to pay for the fees, but you want to make sure that it's like ETH on Base. Now, this is where it gets really complicated, and I'm going to like preference with this so you guys know this is why I say know what you're doing, because this is the easiest way to lose money in crypto. It's the easiest way to mess up, is to like send your coin somewhere that it doesn't need, that it like you can't use it. So if you send Ethereum to like a Cardano wallet without bridging it over, you lost your Ethereum. That's
You're gonna
just
send into a black hole and you're gonna lose all your money. And oh my God, guys, you definitely don't want to make those mistakes. So really, really look back at this, take notes, really understand what are some of the basics that you need to know. Every Wednesday we talk about beginners in crypto, so don't you worry. We're gonna keep getting more into it and really understanding the steps of how to start in crypto, what you need to do, what are the mistakes that you shouldn't be making, what are some things that are going to make you successful in the space. So really come back Wednesdays. If you are a beginner in crypto, we're always going to be doing beginners in crypto on Wednesdays. With that being said, Jay, if you want to go ahead and say anything else to the people until we can end this stream.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know
So
if you
if you
have any questions about this. Like we're always willing. Ask us questions for sure. Because if everything made too much sense to you, then you're probably not a beginner, or you probably got something wrong. So let us know. You guys remember, happy Wednesday. Remember to think positive, and positive things will happen. Make sure you check out our telegrams, our other links for you guys. They're all down there in the description. And I'll say it again. Think positive, and positive things will happen. RIP to crypto roots. And remember, never finish a negative statement about currency. Till next time, peace.